For many years, I looked down on anime shorts since whenever I would try one out, it would either end up being some kind of really unfunny, awfully made comedy, or a complete train wreck like Pupa, which was about a girl who literally had to eat her brother in order to maintain her humanity. Trust me, it was fucking atrocious. This led me to develop a belief that anything with episodes less than the standard length, less than those 24 minutes, wouldn't be worth watching. Later on I found out though that this was just blatantly untrue, and there were so many shows that I'd skipped over that were absolutely worth my time. So, to save you guys from making the same mistake I did, I'm going to highlight 3 shorts that are of such a high quality that they have become some of my favourite anime that have come out in the past few years. So, hello and welcome to another video, and on this episode, I'm going to be talking about why you shouldn't neglect anime shorts. The first one up on the list is Please Tell Me Galko-chan, where 3 teenage girls from different social cliques sit around and discuss topics that are relevant to girls in that age range, such as relationships and the various parts of the male and female anatomy. Right off the bat, it lets you know exactly what you're in for by starting off with a boob joke about how women with large breasts will most likely have large nipples as well. This is pretty much what you can expect throughout the entire show, as it contains jokes about pubic hair, menstruation, constipation, vaginal hygiene, and underwear. It's incredibly raw, so if a vulgar style of humour causes you to cringe, it would probably be best to avoid this one. However, I personally found the crudeness refreshing. Since most anime caters to boys, it's a nice change to see one that tackles sexual topics from a female perspective. While the R-rated comedy is great, there are many more elements that make Galko-chan interesting, one of which is the themes. The main message here is that humans are judgmental bastards, and our perception of someone's personality is based too much on their physical appearance. Early on in the first episode, Galko walks into the room late, yawning and looking sleepy. From here, everybody starts talking about how she must be a complete bitch who was up all night with a bunch of guys simply because she has a voluptuous figure and wears a lot of makeup. This is the complete opposite from her actual personality, as she's very kind, she becomes bashful when people start talking about any kind of intimacy, and she's incredibly modest to the point where she either is unaware of how high she is on the social ladder, or she doesn't care. They also manage to tie this into the humour. There will often be some kind of situation where everyone starts making these wild, crazy assumptions as to what happened, and the punchline is that reality is much more mundane than what people were imagining, showing again that our perceptions are often mistaken. What I found to be the best part of the series is that it will occasionally go beyond comedy and become a compelling drama. There's a plot point where Galko becomes very upset when Otako, the nerdy one of the group, says something insensitive to her. Then when their friendship is on the line, Otako goes over to Galko's house and makes a very touching apology. On my initial viewing, this scene was one of the most pleasantly surprising things I'd seen in months. I never would have expected that an anime that was this immature would make me feel anything other than amusement, and I think it's great that they took a bit of a risk instead of sticking with the same formula. They even managed to squeeze a little bit of character development in there where they cover the backstory of how the trio became friends. This was fantastic, as it gave the cast a reason to be together outside of just being the setup for a bunch of jokes. Please Tell Me Galko-chan is able to make a social statement, make the audience feel a wide range of emotions, and be really entertaining, all while being restricted to 8-minute episodes. It's awesome. Next up is the currently airing Durie Children, which consists of 12-minute episodes that are separated into 3 or 4 short stories, each of which follows a different couple as they struggle with some kind of relationship problem. The main crux of this series is that it pokes fun of cliches that are often seen in romantic comedies like the confession after school under a tree, or the dense idiot who can't understand someone else's feelings, no matter how blatant they are. This may have some people rolling their eyes and saying, "Oh, it's another one of those, is it?" And that reaction is perfectly understandable. In recent years, we've become saturated with so many lame comedies that end up just referencing anime tropes. They don't do anything clever with them, they don't use them to make any kind of statement, they just acknowledge that they exist, and that isn't funny. It's lazy. What this show does different is that it demonstrates its understanding of the genre by taking its parodies so far over the top to fully highlight how stupid some of these overused plot points can be. And it's hilarious. The way they portray the obsessive little sister archetype was so on point that it had me doubled over in laughter. I will admit that not every part was that funny. There were a few characters that I didn't care about and the jokes involving them fell flat. However, the majority of the cast was surprisingly endearing. I was excited when it looked like a new couple was going to get together, and I felt kind of sorry for them when it didn't work out. It says a lot that I was able to connect with the characters in here in only 3 minutes, where there are many series that fail to do this despite having almost 30 minutes per episode. If Galko-chan wasn't the kind of comedy that you like, this may be more for you, especially if you've seen a lot of shoujo anime like I have. The last short I'm going to talk about is She and Her Cat Everything Flows, which was my favourite anime of 2016. It's about a cat named Durie who lives with his owner who is currently having difficulty finding employment. The most unique thing about this is that it's told from Durie's perspective, with the main conflict being that he can sense his owner's pain and wishes he could do more to support her, but since there's a communication barrier between them, he's unable to do much. I already said this in my top 10 video, but I'll say it again in order to truly emphasize how emotionally gripping this is. When I look back on the hundreds, maybe even thousands of anime I've watched, I could only think of 2 others that affected me as deeply as She and Her Cat did. The most common piece of criticism that I've heard levelled at this, and I completely agree, is that it does get a bit predictable and it foreshadows its ending rather heavily. However, I found this to be more of a benefit than a flaw. By having a good idea of what the conclusion might be, it filled me with dread and it had me hoping that I was wrong about this, that it wasn't going to end up that way. And these predictions that I was making kept me absorbed the entire way through. By sticking to a simple, easy to follow method of storytelling, I became much more invested than I have in full-length series that have much deeper and more complex narratives. With the total length of She and Her Cat being only 32 minutes, it's absolutely worth checking out, although be sure to watch it on a day where you have a few hours to yourself, as it'll most likely put you in a very depressed mood. Hopefully by this point in the video I've shown that short form anime can have a lot of value. Despite their limited runtime, they can have emotion-filled stories, compelling characters, powerful drama, and cleverly written comedy. If you want to watch any of the shows I mentioned, they're all available on Crunchyroll, and I'm looking forward to seeing what other gems are out there, since I'm sure there's quite a few that I missed. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you have any feedback, please leave a comment, and if you want to see more, feel free to subscribe as well. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.